Very good. Okay. Well, we are so excited to come on here and share with you tonight about our time at Ruby Retreat. Um, I just was looking through my notes again, and I'm just like, so much of it is like, oh, like it could just, it's so good, it makes you cry. And it is so good that it sometimes gives you goosebumps. and and I want to say something, when you see us post about these events, a lot of times it's like the beautiful scenery, and yes, it was gorgeous there, the resort was amazing, and we got pampered and it was awesome, and the spa was to die for, and I want to go back again. But all of that pales in comparison with just being struck by how amazing this company is, how amazing these leaders are, and how amazing this opportunity is, and how available it is to each and every one of us. It is their heart, have every single one of us up there with them. There were 10 diamonds on a diamond panel, and various spouses around the room. Like Shoshana Eastling's husband was on the panel, but she was still there. They were both diamonds, right? And so there were more than 10 diamonds there, but those were the ones that were on the panel. And they talked about it. They have financial freedom. They have all the things that were on their dream board, like they've happened. And so now they're, Jarrett was saying, what's our dream now? What's on our dream board? That every single one of you accomplish your dreams, that we bring more of you up here with us, that we make more of a difference in your lives and in the lives of your kids and your loved ones. He's like, that's our heart, is to have other people's lives change through this. And then also with that, with every single person who gains that financial freedom, they're also giving generously to different organizations and making a huge difference across the globe, right? And so it was just so inspiring. It's just like, it takes our breath away. Jane and I would sometimes look at each other and both be like brimming, and we're like, it's dusty in here. We're just so excited tonight to share with you just some of our takeaways, not just like, we're not going to be like, oh, it was so sunny. And yes, it was awesome. And I loved being there. I love the weather compared to this. We're getting dumped with snow again on Monday night. I'm so excited. But what we want to talk about tonight is, number one, we visited corporate for the first time ever, and we were blown away. So we just want to share what we can remember, because neither of us were taking notes during that time, right? But just what some of our favorite times at corporate were. And then we want to talk a little bit about what Sonia and Helen shared. So Sonia Dudley and Helen McFadden, who are our tippy top up diamonds, way up, way up. What they shared with us, and oh my gosh, they're amazing. But they talked about leading through connecting. And so what I loved about this is convention's super awesome, right? But convention is for everybody. And so there's some things about being newbies and things like that, right? But this was about leading, and we learned more about leadership. What does that look like, and how can we do it better? How can we serve you better as leaders? And so, but also, how can you? Because you all have people underneath you, or will have people underneath you. And so what kind of leader do you want to be, and what should it look like? And they talked about connecting, and and how do you connect, and not just drive or whatever it might be. So we're going to talk about that. We're also going to talk about family work balance takeaways from the panel. The panel, because there were several husband-wife couples up there, and because there were several questions that came from the crowd about family life work balance and how they did it all, right? They had some good takeaways that I thought were wonderful. And then also on my way home there and on my way back, I was listening to that Get Over Your Darn Self book. And she talked about the same thing at the end of it. And there was some, if you haven't read that book yet, and I'd actually, I can't remember if it was in her book or what, and I know I'm digressing, but she talked about doing a book a month with your team. And rather, like, I know we've done it before where we've met weekly, but she talked about doing a book a month, and then at the end of the month, just have a little, like, Zoom or chat or whatever to talk about the whole book. Like, what were some of your takeaways from the whole book? I thought that was a lot more doable than some of the weekly stuff that we've tried to do before. But that way we're constantly doing some self-help books and self-improvement books and leadership books. But that's a great one. If you haven't read that, and at the end, it's all about family life balance or work balance and stuff like that. So it was really good stuff. But so some of my tips are going to be kind of a combo. And then the last thing we're going to talk about is going all in. What does that look like? And what can it look like as it, including some of talking about the finding balance with that. So, okay. So Jane and I are going to go back and forth with this, but I told Jane that I'm going to let her kind of go first, and then I'll fill in or add to. So Jane, tell me, like, corporate, what were your favorites? What touched your heart the most?
Can I actually back up just a bit first?
Uh-huh.
You mentioned all the diamonds we saw and all these people at the tippity top.
Uh-huh.
And I really want to give my perspective on all that, because going into this, okay, I'm going to share a little thing here. I felt like, wow, I shouldn't be there. I had these feelings of inferiority, and because I put them all up here, and I kept thinking, I want to be that, but I'm just me. And I want to tell you right now, if you feel that way, you just knock that thought right out of your head. Because one of the very first things that stood out to me was how they really got that impression of, we are just people. We are people that love. We are people that care. And they've been where we are. I was in awe of their stories of struggle with debt, their struggles with health. Mm-hmm. And another part of that used to just make me go, was when you watch the different stories of these people that rise to the top super fast. You guys, that's not the norm. Mm-hmm. And Helen and Sonia put it in such perspective. You guys, they were with another MLM company, and I love the way they described it. The ones that drive the vehicles that are kind of a whitish, reddish color. They were awesome. And they were with them for 20 years. They had 20 years of growth and learning that they did before they ever got into Plexus. So they already had those foundational things that go along with MLMs or direct selling, or however you want to think of it. And so, when we hear how people rise real quickly, it's because they had other skills that have developed in other areas prior to Plexus.
Yeah.
Think about that. If you have never done any kind of recruiting or socializing of any particular kind, or that self-development, or
getting volunteers.
Yeah.
Or, like, I told Jane, I turned to Jane, I'm like, I've been a waitress, upselling, right? I've been a recruiter. Like, so when I started loving Plexus, I knew I could do this. Mm-hmm. I already had some experience. I don't know if all of you have what you have in your background, but they had like 20 years. And so some of these people coming in and are like all the way up, they probably have some experiences. And so if you're coming in and comparing yourself to people who are like, and saying, just know that in what career would you learn something so fast to ascend to $500,000 a year in a year, like with no experience. Like that wouldn't happen. And so they said, they'll hear people say, yeah, it took me 2 years to go gold. And she's like, 2 years to go gold, to make
Just
much?
2 years?
2 years? When you think of this compared to other fields and stuff like that, we're surpassing like CEO and presidents income in like, even if it takes you 5 years, if it takes you 7 years, even if it takes you 10 years, some people don't get that in 30 years of working in a job, right? It's like, this is worth it, right? And Jane, I like what you said too about them being people, because they really stressed that. They said the only difference between us and somebody else who didn't make it is they quit and we kept going.
Tenacity.
Yeah.
Sticking with it. And that'll come up more and more as we kind of go over things too. But
yeah.
That really, really stood out to me and made me go, huh, I can do this too.
Right.
They did it. I can do it.
Yep.
And I know that I can do it.
Yep.
And that's that line of whether you believe it or don't, and the fact that they are just people.
Right.
They didn't get some doctorate degree in sales and there's such a variety. Everybody is so different. When Helen and Sonia even talked about how they were even so different, and there isn't one particular kind of person that can excel in this. Everybody can.
Yeah, Sonia's like super touchy-feely, lovey people, and Helen McFadden's like, she's the one who said the whole, I don't know if you all saw Wendy's quote, but it was something about, what happened? My daughter just fell. I don't know what happened. What is it?
Which quote? There were so many
ponies. If you have dead horses laying in the field, go find new ponies. Like she's like very factual and stuff like that. They're so opposite, but they're friends. They're both successful, and that's what I saw on the panel too. Is all these different personality types and giftings, and all different journeys and length of journeys to get there, and all different levels of experience. Like there was, was it Fallon who said she hadn't done anything like that before? Fallon Black?
No, Fallon sold menstrual cups.
That's right. Menstrual cups. That's right. She did.
I know. Janet's going, yeah.
Yeah, that's right. She did. There was somebody who said they hadn't done anything like that.
There were some, yeah. Something I love that Fallon said too was, and I don't know why, but I kept thinking she came in and rose straight to the top.
No, she did not. She said
backwards. She went to 2 conventions as a gold.
And she was at what did she say? She lost almost her entire gold team and had to start over.
Yeah.
She basically was like, do I want this? And I know that I've watched a video of hers that has talked about that time. Because somebody basically told her, her coach, it's Lori Welch, right? That's her direct upline. Basically told her something she really needed to work on in order to be successful, and she decided to take the coaching. And she's like, either I want this or I don't. And she went back in the trenches and started working it again. But
then in that year, she went from gold to diamond.
Right. So,
okay, so now you want me back on track about corporate?
Corporate. That's okay. That was a good sidetrack. Thank you.
It was, huh?
Yeah.
Corporate is beautiful. It's very big. Something that really stood out to me is the positive morale, the appreciation that everybody showed when we were there. We got to see the customer service area, And all these people are like, thank you, thank you. And we're like, no, thank you.
It's like,
And yeah, as we walk around, and Alec even said how just having us there lifted their morale even more because they got to see people they were actually helping. They keep track of the number of calls that come in, the longest that you're in queue, just everything. They're very detail oriented, and they want to just keep things improving. Gosh, I could go on a lot about this, Catherine. I hope you don't mind. We went into the warehouse, and okay, I know my peeps up here, they're Costco. Think Costco, but a smaller warehouse. But you know those big shelves? Well, it's just lined with product. But first, before it can even get in those shelves, it sits, they call it in quarantine, and then it's in the aisle. And this is the coolest part. Holy cow, I'm choking. I'm getting so excited. They will pull product from every batch to test it. They taste it, like the Slim, they'll taste it, and then they check it to make sure it tastes right. They check from all the others, they'll pull capsules and run on them to make sure that what they say is in it is in it. And they hang on to those samples for 12 months. I mean, that's quality assurance.
In case anything, like if anybody had any problems where they were getting repetitive, like people calling in with the same issue, they can trace like what shipment that was to, go back to those shipments and test it and see if there was anything that was causing that. Like that's crazy. But I mean, talk about quality assurance and making sure that they have the top. Yeah.
And then the shipping area. So you guys get this one. The end of the month, you know how that's where a lot of subscriptions are at? Didn't he say they will ship out between there and the, isn't it Atlanta?
Mm-hmm. Atlanta.
Where the other plant is. They will ship out 35,000 subscriptions, like on the 28th. No, I thought it was just on that day.
Oh, on the 28th?
The 25th, 26th, and 28th is what I thought he said.
Okay.
The busy time, they'll ship out 35,000 subscriptions. That's crazy.
That's right. And then on their record board, there was one that said the record was like 45,000. That was the biggest day that they had shipped stuff out, 45,000.
Yeah, it's crazy how much goes through there.
My favorite, though, was that guy talking about, so his brother works there and his wife works there, right? The shipping manager?
That could be. The one thing that really stood out with those guys, though, is the one that was talking to us had been there for 7 years.
7 years.
And he just keeps moving on up in positions, and now he runs that shipping part. Yeah. And he loves it. I mean, he's not going to leave.
Yeah, he said, like, he loves getting up every day and going to work. He's just like, why wouldn't you? This is the happiest place. So, and was it him or the quality assurance gal that talked about that they had interviewed for a different job and didn't take that, and every morning when they go to work, they thank, I don't know if they thank God, but they're reminded how they made that choice and what a wise choice they made because they actually love their job every day when they go to work. And
that was one of the guys that was picked in the lottery.
The lottery? Yeah. Mm-hmm. There was so much that day. Like, I'm like, it's like my mind is spinning. But every single person, because when they were drawn for that lottery and they were able to, you've seen those videos before. And if you didn't, how many of you saw our videos on the team page, or at least watched 1 or 2 of them? I hope if you haven't done it, like, watch them, because that'll give you a good, I mean, you're not there, but you can at least see it. Like, to hear those stories, like, even though it's long, like, honestly, go to the one with the spinny wheel and hear every single employee come up there and tell you what their favorite part is about working for Plexus. And that's the feel all the way around. Every single person is smiling, excited. That atmosphere is so positive. Every Friday they get they bring a massage therapist in to give massages. They have a health coach there that will help them with their health goals.
They all get $100 stipend to use products.
Yep. Every month.
And it was so neat when somebody spun on the wheel the $200. And Wendy turns and looks at me and she goes, can you imagine? It's Friday afternoon and you were just handed $200. How awesome would that be?
Right.
I said, I want to be handed $200.
We can give ourselves a raise every month.
We can.
But yeah, how awesome for somebody who goes into, like, I've worked in cubicle life, you know, in the business world and HR and stuff like that. There was nothing like that. So it was do your job. That's your reward, is that paycheck at the end of the month. So, and the climate was not that way.
And I guess the other really big part that I enjoyed when we were at corporate was we got to go in the Diamond conference room. Is that what it was called? And there were a bunch of people that talked to us. But that's so much, you guys. There's so much.
I know. Like, I don't think I'm going to get to all 4 of these things.
No, we're not going to get to all that tonight. I can tell you that.
Yeah, we're going to be like Ruby Retreat Part 2.
Yeah. And then there's going to be Part 3 and Part 4 because it's worth sharing this with you guys.
Yeah.
And it was just so real. And I just have to tell you guys, because you know me and my whole starstruck thing. And I sat and visited with Jessica Hogendorn.
Yep. She helped me when I fell down and twisted my ankle. She helped me up, made sure I was okay. That's how, that's who she is. Like, on the last day I was wearing heels, walking on cobblestones, rushing, and
she was running to keep up with me because I had to get out of there.
Yeah. Sprained my ankle. So it's elevated right now.
Maybe you broke it.
I hope I didn't break it. But anyway.
Catherine, what was your favorite part of corporate?
It was that I'm going to not get emotional. I'm not. Sitting in that diamond room, in that jewel room, and Alec came in and talked to us. I mean, this is just 88 people, 88 leaders. That's who was there. That's like Lori Welch's, Abby, or not Abby, Amber Miller's team, Shoshana's, who else? Phelan Black and Charlotte
Seems,
yeah. And, Wendy, and who else? Eva's. And so it's 88 of us in this room, and Alec and Taro come and talk to us in there. And then their brand new VP of sales came in. She seems pretty awesome. And then, of course, Genevieve, which we all love. And oh my gosh, you guys, the things that she's doing and creating to make our life so much awesomer is amazing. She's brilliant and inspiring, and she's an amazing storyteller. And we're all like, can you make more videos on the Ambassador Connection page? Because we need to hear more from you, because she is so inspiring and so smart. So smart.
Can I share the fishing story?
Yeah. I was going to share the waiter story.
Oh, that's a good one too. I'll do the fishing
first.
It's shorter. Okay. Who likes to go fishing? Yep. You got it right. Come on, Janet, you like fishing? Okay, so we like to go fishing. So we go out fishing, and you guys, I'm sure I'll butcher this a little bit, so bear with me. I'm not her, but I'll give it a shot. So you go out one day and you cast, okay? Most of your time you're spending casting, reeling, casting, reeling. Do you catch a fish every time? Do you even have a bite every time? Mm-mm. So you keep casting and reeling. Maybe that day you go home without any fish. Oh no, we're down to 10 minutes already. Okay. the next day you're like, you know what, I'm going to go fishing. It's a beautiful day. I'm going to go out and go fishing. So you're casting and reeling and casting and reeling, and you might catch one. And so that one fish keeps you, or you keep going, and you keep casting and keep reeling, and it's that process. You enjoy the process of it. It's not just about catching. And that's kind of, I know that was kind of an abbreviated version of what she did, but that's what our business is like. You have to enjoy the journey of reaching out there and getting that bite once in a while. You're not going to have every cast to be a catch. And so that just really stood out to me. It's like, yeah, I like fishing. Because that's fishing, not catching. Because you have to work at it, and it takes time, and you just have to, you're not going to catch anything if you don't get out there and do it.
Yeah.
If you never go out and cast, you're never going to catch a fish. Kind of like if we don't ever reach out to others, we're never going to get a yes. Will we get some no's? You bet. And let's celebrate those no's, because it means we got a response. That's that little nibble, and we know there's some fish out there now. It's that keep going with it. So that one it was like, yeah, that's so true.
Yeah, and then we just kept going with the analogies at our table.
Yeah.
Like, and sometimes you catch a small one, sometimes you catch a middle-sized one, and sometimes you catch a big fish,
And sometimes you think you got them, you get them to the boat, and they get off.
Yes. We're like, we could just keep going with this analogy all day long.
We could. The waiter story's great.
Yeah, I know. And I'm just trying to remember all of it. So she was talking about, and I know I went to one in the Twin Cities. I can't remember what it's called, but those restaurants where it's all meat, like, or there's a lot of meat. It's like, she said they put all these meat on these skewers, and they walk around the restaurant, and like, if it's steaks, who wants a steak, right? And then and then you can either have your card on your table that says keep it coming, and some that say nope, I've had enough. And she said they had this waiter, and he had put up the nope, I've had enough. And then he said, would any of you like some dessert here? And they're like, no, my gosh, we're so full, and I could never do that. And do you ever even sell any dessert here? And he's like, well, yeah, all the time, and he's like, sometimes, are you sure you don't want me to just bring it back and you could just have a little look-see? And that's how she said it. You can have a little look-see. And
as he's setting spoons down at their spots.
Exactly. That was the best part. Yeah. It's like, what is that? That's like planting seeds that they're already going to do it. Like, she's like, he was brilliant. Like the best server she's ever had. And then, of course, they had a look-see, and they had some dessert, because of that. And then he's like, well, okay, would you like some after dinner drinks? And they're like, oh no, we are so full. We can't believe you'd even ask that. And he's like, well, these little dinner drinks, what they do is they actually help with digestion and digestive enzymes and da-da-da-da-da. And they're like, oh, okay. And she's like, and then they got that too. And so like, he just kept, first of all, doing that assumption, I can't remember what she called it, but there's a term for it where you're assuming the sale before it even happens, and like putting the spoons down, but also that just the upselling and just that work. She said you constantly should be introducing and telling them about other things on the menus. Like when you think of your ambassadors, your customers, and things like that they don't know the benefits of the products unless you're putting them out there and letting them have a look-see, she said. So,
and it's selling not the product itself, but
the outcome. Yeah. Yeah, you're selling. That's what she's like. She wasn't telling them how good the drink tastes. She's telling them the outcome, that it has digestive enzymes and stuff like that. But
And that the dessert you could take home and
Yeah, that's
have
right.
it
No,
tomorrow.
that was it. She's like, I can bring it on to go so you can bring it home. Well, they all ate it right there at the table. So, yeah. Yeah. You can remember all those details better than I can, but that was good too. Okay, so I'm going to have to shift gears here. So my thought is we're going to table the leading with connections and the family work balance. And I want to talk about going all in and what that looks like. It goes with the family work balance, but I understand that some of you are at different stages right here. We might have some people who are just getting started. We might have some of you who have been doing it for a while. We might have some of you who are like, or I know we have some of you who are showing up for everything and doing the power hours and doing IPA and everything like that. The biggest thing, what did she say? This was one of the really good quotes. And this is like, Jane and I could fill up like 2 hours just with the awesome quotes. But there was one about,
what I had down for the all-in part is that
the
it's
not
that
quit
make a
one.
decision once.
What's that?
Make a decision once.
And let that be that one. Yeah.
And that really should guide you. And that, we all have outside circumstances.
Yep.
And it's that when you are all in, you do not just let those outside circumstances change your total attitude. So if you have a 5-second problem, don't let it destroy 5 hours of your day.
Right. Or the whole day. Or the whole week. Here's
Exactly.
one that I was thinking of. When you get tired, learn to rest, not quit. We all have busy seasons of our life or difficult things that are going to come up where we are feeling like, oh my gosh, I don't feel like I can do this all. We've all had those moments. Learn to rest and not quit. If you're feeling so overwhelmed, take a night off. Unplug. Be with your family. Do what you need to take care of you, but then come back the next day and do it again. That I thought that was so good. Learn to rest, not quit. And then, you need an all-in attitude for long-term success is what they talked about. That they also said, when you start to feel fear or resistance, this is good. Time to dive into your fear and your challenges. So if you feel like what Jane said, where she talked about how she didn't feel like she belonged there, that's actually a good thing. Okay? Fear is not a bad thing if we use it to drive forward. I've had moments like that too, where I'm like, I don't know if I can do this. I don't know if I fit in. I don't know if whatever. I do, and I can, and drive forward, because I think that was so good. And yeah, the one that Jane talked about, make a decision once and let that be your decision. Like, don't start and then stop and then start and then stop. Just make that decision to be all in. And what is that going to look like for you? Only you can determine that as to what your dedication to it, how much you're going to be sharing, how much time you're going to give to it, how you're going to balance work and life. That's your decision. We can talk more about that. It says I have less than a minute, so I need to wrap up. But thank you so much for joining us. As you can see, we're a little bit passionate right now about everything that we encountered. If you haven't watched the videos, do it. They have a flavor of corporate that I'd love you to see. So thanks for joining us. It's going to kick me off, so I want to say.
Are we going to pick this up next Sunday or try to do one?
We will pick it up next Sunday and probably give some tidbits during the week. Mm-hmm. Okay? We'll plan that out, Jane.
Okay, sounds like a plan.
Yeah. Thank you, everyone.
Guys. Say leave meeting.